Welcome to Wrestle Toys' YouTube. Today we're going to be talking about the most expensive wrestling figures that I have in my collection. And wait till you'll see number one. You might actually have this one too. Alright, Fig fam, we are kicking things off with Mattel's Demolition. All three of them complete. Right here you see them without their helmets. These are some really sweet looking figures, some of my favorites and one of my all-time favorite tag teams from that classic WWE era. Now at one time you could ask and demand maybe a $300 complete for all three of these, but they've been down in recent months. You could probably score them anywhere between 150 and 250 if you're lucky, somewhere online. But these are some sweet, beautiful figures to have in your collection. Now, the way I acquired these Demolition figures was on an online platform called Whatnot. There was a seller on there that was simply just trying to get rid of his collection and just make back what he spent on retail. He didn't care what they were worth at that moment, and he didn't make a big advertisement for it. So I got very lucky and got onto that stream before there was very many people, and I scored all three of these with Axe and Smash being complete and then Crush there, $105. Even in today's standards, it's still a pretty darn good deal. So I got lucky on that one. So right here is where I have them displayed in my collection. I'd like to know, where do you rank Demolition in your all-time favorite tag teams? Comment below, and we're going to move on to number 4. And here we have a 2016 San Diego Comic-Con exclusive, none other than a boxed Shockmaster. Now, these Shockmasters can run anywhere from 125 to 150 from decent to good condition. One sold in bad shape recently on eBay for $100 in box. So nonetheless, this was going to cost you around that $100 to $150 depending on the condition. I like displaying mine here with the Titus O'Neil, just in tribute, just that big sliding botch. Then we see some recently sold Shockmasters online to give you an idea of about how much you should be paying for a Shockmaster depending on the condition. And up next we have a Jakks Classic Superstars Series 26 Ming, released in 2009. Now I saw quite a few asking prices online for over $175. But I think a pretty fair asking price for a loose Jakks Classics Ming would be anywhere between $120 to $150. And next up, this is my favorite tag team to collect, the legendary Road Warriors. Now, these particular figures are the Legend Series 1 by Mattel. This was released in 2010. Now, these guys, loose but complete, can run, I'd say, on the low end 150 to 175, and then on the, I'd say, a fair price is roughly around 200 to maybe around 225. Start climbing the high end at that point. These guys still look great without the wrist gauntlets, and so if you're not too picky about that, you can get yourself a good set for about $100 to $150 without the wrist gauntlets. I've been fortunate to find myself a couple of sets, both with the gauntlets and without. I talked earlier how I scored the Demolition at a good price on a Whatnot sale. Well, I also scored the Road Warriors on that same Whatnot sale and got them for a solid $61. That was quite the bargain. And man, the Road Warriors, they were meant to be toys. Just so toyetic, just so appeasing to the eye. And I have my collection. This is a staple in my collection, the Road Warriors. I have 3 different Road Warrior displays, and so, because there's so darn many of them. Now, before we get to my most expensive figure, I'd like to show you some honorable mentions that aren't quite expensive enough to make the top 5, but definitely deserve their own little feature. So here we go with the Jakks Classic Legion of Doom with the red shoulder pads. You got the New Generation Kona Crush, also from the New Generation Atom Bomb. All four of these figures can vary anywhere from 50, if you catch some people sleeping online, sometimes even less than 50, to sometimes even as high as $100 a piece. So if you're in the market for these figs, just gotta be paying attention. And then honorable mention, we have the Mattel Elite Series 30 Legion of Doom. These were released in 2014, and at one time in recent years, man, these things were going super high, like $200 a piece online. But in recent months and within the last year, things have gone down. You can find yourself a solid set for $150 to $200 and loose and complete. And my most expensive figure in my collection, the green card Hasbro 123 Kid. Now, this figure is my holy grail. This is the one that I aspired to get whenever I started taking collecting seriously. And I actually have a really cool story in how I acquired this figure for free, and I'll attach that video at the end. I've seen this figure go anywhere from $700 to even up to $1,000 in good condition, to all the way from $400 to $700 in bad condition. There you see some recent prices. Look at that one. This one with a faded face went for $724 back in May. Now, this is a small detail that I find interesting. Prior to owning this figure, I never really got a good shot at the detail of his midsection right there, because his arm is always covering it up. But it was interesting to see just that star with the white background and the articulation of it once I did own it. And it's another thing to kind of keep an eye on if someone ever tries to sell you a custom. Now, it's not uncommon for customs of the 123 Kid Hasbro to go from anywhere around $100, and some people are even asking $150. And a lot of people like to use it as a placeholder until they have an opportunity to get the actual 123 Kid. Now, you can definitely tell the difference with the custom and the real deal when they're side by side like that. But this isn't too bad of a custom 123 Kid. What this individual did is they took a mold of the actual 123 Kid Hasbro head, and they connected it to a Rick Rude body, and then they just did a paint job over it. And they didn't do too bad of a job with that, with the paint. But this stood for quite a while as my placeholder for the 123 Kid, because there was actual times I thought that I'd never have a good opportunity at it, and I paid $40 for that custom. And lastly, all of the green card Hasbros deserve an honorable mention, as each one of them, depending on different time periods that they're being sold at, can vary from anywhere from as low as $175 to as much as even as high as $400, depending on the lack of availability during that time period. And this is where I like to display my Hasbro green cards center, right in between all of my retro figs.